Hello, welcome to the Arturia Profit video tutorial series, and it's the best bit, it's the deep dives. This is the first sound I've chosen, strange pad. Let's just crack on, see what it sounds like. Craziness and shoes. First thing I'm going to do is take the chorus and delay off, because they're just effects, they're just colouring, murking really everything that we're trying to identify. So we've got quite a few time-based things. There are several different time-based sweeping effects that are crossing over each other to give a really interesting effect. Where's the sound coming from? Well, we've got two oscillators from the Prophet 5, A and B, and C and D from the VS. Both of the Prophet 5 oscillators are on, so we are getting genuine 4 sounds. There's no noise module, so I'm going to turn that annoying little button off because it shouldn't be on. So we've got two separate audio streams, one flowing through the VS filter and VCA, and another one through the Prophet 5 filter and VCA. It's going to make it slightly easier to try to figure out what we're hearing if we turn one of them off. So we're just going to deal with the VS for now. So we can hear pan, and we can immediately see, as soon as we go over to the modulation matrix, that the pan is being controlled by LFO1. Every 7 seconds that triangle is repeating, and that's about right, that's what we're hearing. As it pans between the two ears. Turn that off, we lose the pan. Great stuff. What's this one? Mix AC. Well, A is one of the Prophet 5 oscillators and C is one of the VS oscillators, and as it pans across, it's also swapping out those two sounds. Now we're just going to have a quick flick through some of the other tabs. The mixer envelope is pretty much central, but I'm going to turn it off for the purposes of the demo. It makes it easier to control our own destiny. We've got an interesting filter sweep as the apocalypse descends outside. Thanks very much, weather. We've got this 13-second filter sweep, and then when we release the key, we're going to get a sudden brightening of sound. Let's see if we can hear that. I'm just going to pull this rate in a little bit so that it happens a bit faster. You hear it kind of breathe. There we go. As the frequencies come back during the release cycle, that's what we're getting with this. Over on the amplifier tab, we've got something really interesting going on. So this is a repeating loop, and it's bouncing up and down pretty quickly, and that is what's giving us the pulse. If I turned that loop off, we'd lose it. For the purposes of the demo, I'm going to turn this resonance down. That's just slightly less offensive. Okay, so we've got this pulsing thing going on, and something that's really interesting to note about this tremolo effect is, if we go back to the modulation matrix, it's actually being applied to both amplifiers. We've got two independent amplifiers here. Well, ordinarily the VS amplifier envelope would only operate on the VS's amplifier, but in the modulation matrix, the VS's amplifier envelope is being applied at maximal effect to the Prophet 5's volume, so it's actually taking over responsibility for pulsing both amplifiers. Even though they're independent, they are linked through the modulation matrix. So if we're looking for kind of tips and tricks to take away from these deep dives, that's a great one. Use the VS's more flexible, more powerful amplifier envelope to take over control from the Prophet 5 of its amplifier settings. Now then, remember when we turned this southern route off at the beginning so that we could concentrate on one side of the sound? That has consequences if you're trying to do very much more investigation to do with the LFO, because one of the values that the LFO is modulating is the Prophet 5 cutoff. Well, you're not going to hear that if the Prophet 5 filter isn't in use. So what we're going to do is hop over to the other side. And while we're here, let's have a listen of what this side sounds like. So because the amplifiers are linked, we're getting the same pulse. The VS VCA is not active in this configuration, and yet we're still hearing the VS envelope having an effect on the sound because of the modulation matrix, because it's mapped to the Prophet 5 volume down here. But now we also have an opportunity to hear the Prophet 5's cutoff. So we've got the same 7-second LFO that's coming from the VS. Now it's applying to the Prophet 5's filter. Let's listen to that. There it is. If I switch back again, you won't hear that filter sweep. I actually reset the preset where I was doing some investigation, so that's why you're hearing the pan back. So that's really important to note, that if you're trying to do these deconstructs and you disable part of the sound, be aware that something else somewhere in the modulation matrix in this case depends on that part of the sound being active. Otherwise you're not going to hear any. You'll spend 5 minutes trying to figure out why you can't hear any change. Well, it's because you've disabled the Prophet 5's filter circuit, so it's got nothing to do. Now that we're looking at the Prophet 5, let's have a look at the LFO and wheel mod and figure out what's going on down here. So we have active wheel mod stuff. We're modulating the pulse width of both of the oscillators using a triangle wave, pretty slow one. And as always with the Prophet 5, it's tied to the modulation wheel. So anything that we do is going to have to involve that. Let's see what that sounds like. The pulse is speeding up. It's pretty intense. If I leave that on and then we re-engage the full sound, let's hear what it's like in its full pomp. Now I've just noticed something that I've never noticed before. This is going to require some investigation, but we might as well have a look at it while we're looking at this preset. I've just disengaged the entirety of the LFO from the Prophet 5, so it's not doing anything anymore. It's not doing that pulse width modulation. When I was really wailing on that wheel, I thought, that's more than pulse width. What's going on? It's altering the LFO1 rate. I don't think it should be. I can't see any reason why the LFO1 rate, that sound, is the same as that. So it's definitely the LFO1 rate that's being modulated, and I'm not asking it to modulate the LFO1 rate. Here is the LFO1 rate modulation matrix and it's empty. So I'm wondering whether or not it might be a peculiarity of hybrid mode, that if you're in hybrid mode, the modulation wheel is attached to the LFO. I'll do some more investigation, but interesting, because we're definitely getting all of these effects. I've actually been away to the manual to see if the LFO1 is linked to the modulation wheel in some hardwired way, and I can't find anything. Anyway, interesting. We've broken this sound so badly, we'll get back to the original. All that remains to do now is have a very cursory look at the chorus and delay effects. So clearly we know what they do, but let's listen to them. It's quite a wet chorus. And there's the delay bounce. So it's accentuating. We've already got the dramatic tremolo effect of the amplifier kind of acting like a delay, because it's pulling the sound right away and then taking it back again. But then when you add the stereo delay onto that with different time settings, so the left hand side is operating half as quickly as the right hand side, and you get that lovely bounce kind of thing. So a fantastic sound, really interesting. I'm going to investigate that mod wheel issue, and for the next deep dive I'll have an update on that. That's got me intrigued. But fantastic sound, hope you enjoyed that, hope you found something useful, and if you did, please consider subscribing, hit notifications, and then the continuing investigation will carry on next time. Hope to see you then. Thanks a lot.